I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Everyone thought the Indiana Fever versus Las Vegas Aces series was just two teams battling. What actually happened was far stranger. It was a national television heist, where the Aces weren't just winning. They were being handed games. The script flipped when Indiana stunned everyone stealing Game 1. The Aces had an invisible sixth player, the referees, giving them whistles so lopsided the game barely resembled competition. Coach Stephanie White refused to stay quiet. In an emotional post-game interview, she called for a full-scale league-wide investigation into WNBA officiating. Fans saw it, social media exploded, the box score screams. Aces were gifted wins, overshadowing Fever's grit. The biggest scandal in WNBA history is just getting started.
Disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
This wasn't just one game. It was a disturbing pattern. The Fever weren't playing the Aces. They were battling the officials. From day one, favoritism screamed. Game 1, Vegas couldn't find offense, leaning on free throws. Indiana's clean defense magically became foul trouble. Aces got away with elbows. Fever tagged for breathing too close. This wasn't a double standard, it was blatant bias. By Game 2, whistles dictated pace, ripping Indiana out of rhythm. By Game 3, this bias became an impenetrable wall. Here's where it gets truly insane.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow, and when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm. It's about timing. It's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
The moment that exposed the WNBA's deepest secret happened in the third quarter. Aliyah Boston, Indiana's anchor, challenged a Jackie Young foul. Stephanie White instantly motioned for review. The bench, ready. Fans, holding their breath. But the officials? They flat out refused to acknowledge it. A brazen rejection. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray nailed a three, flipping momentum. An Indiana lead, hard-earned, was ripped away, not by Vegas, but by a call the refs wouldn't even let be reviewed. The Gamebridge crowd erupted in disbelief, cheers turning to furious boos. Clips spread like wildfire, analysts pointing to it as undeniable proof of rigging. These breakdowns exposed a disturbing pattern of Aces flops, elbows and cheap shots, miraculously invisible. That's when it stopped feeling like oversight and looked like a deliberate agenda. And that's just the beginning of this rabbit hole.
A'ja Wilson is 1 for 12 as a foul is called on Boston. And that will be number 2 on Aliyah Boston.
You saw Indiana picking up full court pressure defensively. And if you're Aliyah Boston, that's the one spot on the floor you do not want to get a foul call.
And Stephanie White is trying to challenge it. And did not call the timeout in time. Gray in the corner. Connect!
Watch the tape. A'ja Wilson bulldozed through Aliyah Boston. Play just continued. Indiana defenders were tossed, met with utter silence. Yet, if a Fever player brushed a jersey, the whistle blew like armed robbery. This wasn't Vegas outclassing Indiana. It was refs handing them lifelines. But here's where the Fever showed true defiance, the raw grit you rarely see. Lesser teams would have broken. Not the Fever. The symbol of that unwavering defiance? Lexie Hull. This is the part that will blow your mind.
2-minute recap from last night. So A'ja Wilson pushes Howard in the back. Howard pushes her in the back. It's a foul on Howard. Look at this. Aliyah Boston gets totally fouled by Nalissa Smith. Like, it's obvious, but no call. And then A'ja Wilson gets the call for not half as much. And then Nalissa Smith gets the call for not even getting touched. Here's a replay just to prove it to you. Yep, didn't get touched.
Think a player who shouldn't even be on the floor nearly flipped an entire playoff game. That's Lexie Hull. Coming off a painful Game 1 back injury, she was questionable every game. Her warm-ups looked stiff, movements uncertain. But Hull didn't just log minutes. She delivered a personal showcase of pure, unadulterated resilience. She became the beating heart of Indiana's defiance. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, all shooting 6 of 10, draining 3 massive triples. Each felt like oxygen, reviving Indiana. Those threes tied a Fever playoff record, a feat nobody expected from a player battling agonizing back pain. Her 16 points, a career playoff high, delivered amidst chaos. Here's where it gets really crazy.
Follow it up by Lexie Hall getting called for the foul.
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. And then Lexie's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path.
What made her performance truly mind-blowing wasn't just stats. It was the brutal manner she got them. Every possession a war zone, loose balls collisions, rebounds wrestling matches, yet Hull never backed down. Cameras caught her grimacing, but she still boxed out bigger players, dove for balls, sacrificed her body, and knocked down threes. Each play injected life into the Fever every time officiating tried to bleed them dry. Fans rallied. Gainbridge knew they were witnessing a warrior. Hull's effort was Indiana's beating heart. But here's the devastating irony. On the same night Lexie Hull delivered her career-best playoff performance, the conversation wasn't about her. It was about referees tilting the game. The spotlight celebrating her courage was stolen by controversy. That's the perfect tragic metaphor for the Fever. Underdogs, underestimated, shoved aside, yet still standing tall.
Boston has the mismatch on Lloyd. Help comes. Kick out. Cole will fire. And hit from 3. Last 2 positions inside from Indiana. Smith tied up by Hull, and a jump ball between Smith and Hull.
So let's put this in brutal perspective. On one side, Lexie Hull, giving absolutely everything, dragging her body through agony for her teammates. On the other, A'ja Wilson, the supposed MVP, largely absent when it mattered most, propped up only by phantom whistles that gave her chances Indiana never got. That contrast tells the whole infuriating story. One team earning it with sweat and sacrifice, the other being carried by officials more interested in protecting the Aces brand than letting the Fever's raw fight shine. What happens next defies all logic.
On the left side of the floor, just a clear out, letting Jackie Young go to work.
Jackie Young with 17 points. Boston to the corner. Hull, catch, fire, and hit. Correct call. Evans dishes. Ray whips a pass inside. What a denial from Lexie Hull.
The Hull able to save the play.
12-point game, a little under 2.5 to go. Hull hits Indiana's first field goal of the quarter.
Picture this. The league's most decorated player, the so-called MVP, going nearly 3 quarters without a single basket. That was A'ja Wilson in Game 3. Her confident opening 3 was her lone highlight for the entire first half. By the break, she was a pathetic 1 for 11, a shooting line that would embarrass a rookie. She limped to 6 makes on 20 attempts, just 13 points. That's dreadful, unacceptable for any WNBA starter, let alone the reigning MVP. Instead of dominating inside, Wilson floated outward, forcing contested fadeaways, visibly rattled by Aliyah Boston's relentless, suffocating defense. Here's the truly mind-blowing part. Vegas didn't need her to play like an MVP. Even as Wilson bricked her way through 3 quarters, the Aces still won. Not because of her brilliance, but because everything else was tilting in their favor. It's insane.
Eddie back to Hull. Wide open 3 is good.
The floor that she wants, doesn't it?
It does. Mitchell. Cut it. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell, one more. You bet.
Jackie Young delivered a heroic performance, dropping 25 points, silencing Fever rallies. Chelsea Gray chipped in a calm 15, bailing out the offense. Even Kaya Stokes came up with key plays right when Vegas needed them. So while Wilson clanked shot after shot, her teammates and the steady invisible hand of the refs stitched enough cushion to keep the scoreboard tilted their way. This isn't just sports. This is a strategic operation.
Offensive foul, practically a football check, and the Aces score. So now the Aces cut it to 2, and then A'ja Wilson sets an illegal screen, and they tied things up. And then Lexie Hull gets called for a foul for doing nothing when they just had 2 illegal screens they didn't call. All right, so this is fair. Same thing happens on the other side, but they don't call a foul for Kelsey Mitchell. So Aliyah Boston gets called for this foul for getting her arm grabbed, but Stephanie White can't challenge. They won't let her. That's the second time this game they didn't let her have her challenge. And then A'ja Wilson starts acting like a big baby.
What makes all of this sting even more is the sickening way the media spun it. Wilson's box score screamed disaster, yet outlets dressed it up with platitudes about her all-around impact. Others quickly pivoted to praising Ace's depth. But here's the hidden truth. The reason Wilson struggled so badly? Aliyah Boston. Possession after possession, Boston walled off the paint, denied space, and forced Wilson into uncomfortable low-percentage looks. When an MVP shoots a pathetic 30% on 20 attempts, that's not an off night. That's next-level defensive execution. That's a star being neutralized. But instead of crediting Boston, the narrative bent over backward to protect Wilson's reputation. What happens next defies all logic.
And then here we go. She gets a foul call with a 3-point game for, I don't know why they called that foul, but it's the third quarter and they want them to win. So here we go. Ace is up by 3. They call another foul for A'ja Wilson that isn't a foul. All right, so then they call another foul on the Fever that isn't a foul. And then to end the game after it's out of control because the Fever had a 6-point lead, but they kept calling fouls, another foul for A'ja Wilson that's not a foul. Ball don't lie. A'ja missed 11 shots in a row during this game.
Even then, Wilson still left her mark, just not respectfully. Watch closely. Elbows, undercuts, arms swinging dangerously, almost none punished. Somehow she's still portrayed as a victim. And then Becky Hammon had the audacity to complain post-game that Wilson only shot 1 free throw in 38 minutes. The irony? Vegas had been living at the foul line this entire series. When you're swimming in freebies, crying about not getting more isn't just laughable, it's an insult. The truth is simple. Indiana bottled up A'ja Wilson. They executed the defensive game plan perfectly, with Boston leading the charge, and yet the Fever lost because officiating made sure Vegas never paid the price for Wilson's brickfest. This Aces win feels hollow, not dominance, but a protected escape. Everything you think you know is about to change.
2 as well.
Here's Hull. Working behind Boston. Boston was open. Great dig, and Boston lays it in.
It wasn't just the losses, it was the entire officiating circus. That's why Stephanie White finally snapped. She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't toe the company line. In her explosive post-game interview, she delivered what every player, fan, and honest analyst has screamed for months. The WNBA needs a full-scale, undeniable investigation into its refereeing. Not a memo, a real public reckoning. This was her team being robbed. Lexie Hull putting her body on the line, Aliyah Boston fighting triple teams, Kelsey Mitchell battling constant pressure. Officiating isn't just inconsistent, it's actively compromising the game's integrity. And she's 100% right.
I thought she got hit a lot tonight. To shoot 1 free throw in 38 minutes. I know they told me not to say anything, but I can't.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Her exact frustration was written all over her face. White has been through battles as a player. She's dealt with tough losses as a coach. But this was different. This wasn't basketball. Think, how many times have we seen Caitlin Clark hammered with no whistle, only to watch exact same contact rewarded? How many times has Aliyah Boston fought tooth and nail, only to get called for phantom fouls? How often do players like Hull or Mitchell get punished for hustling, while opponents flop their way to free points? This series is the ugly culmination of a growing crisis. Demanding accountability isn't just bigger than the Fever. It's about protecting the league's future. Because here's the brutal truth. Without Caitlin Clark, without the Fever, without this unprecedented surge of new fans filling arenas and smashing TV ratings, the NBA doesn't have this spotlight. Yet, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert sits silent, allowing refs to tilt games and hand the defending champs lifelines they didn't earn. Fans know it. Social media knows it. Analysts know it. The only ones pretending otherwise are in the league office, hoping the noise dies down. But thanks to Stephanie White, it won't. Nation of a problem that's been brewing all season.
Here's Boston, back to Hull. Sets herself up. Mitchell is free, laying it in. Been a while since Mitchell has gotten a shot attempt. Mitchell will get one here. And hit.
Her call for an investigation isn't just frustration. It's the first real demand for accountability from someone inside the machine. If Commissioner Engelbert ignores it, then the message to fans is chillingly clear. The league doesn't care about fairness. It only cares about protecting its chosen teams. So here's the bottom line. Stephanie White's courageous demand has already put the spotlight back where it belongs, on the corrupt officiating that's dragging this league down. And if there's any justice left in basketball, her words will be the spark that forces the WNBA to finally fix its dirtiest, most exposed secret. The future of the league depends on it. What side are you on?